Captain Nora Blackwell's boots echoed through the corridor of the Helios as she completed her morning inspection. After 15 years hauling cargo through the Outer Rim, she prided herself on running a tight ship. The Helios wasn't fancy, just a reliable Class 4 freighter that kept her 7-person crew employed and fed. "Systems check complete, Captain," said the ship's AI Meridian. "All parameters normal. Thanks, Meridian. Anything interesting while I was sleeping?" "Nothing significant." To report, Nora nodded, satisfied. Their current job was straightforward. Deliver agricultural supplies to the settlement on Persephone. Collect payment. Return to Central Hub. The kind of routine run that paid the bills without complications. She turned toward the medical bay for her usual chat with Dr. Finn Vasari, when Meridian's voice returned with unusual urgency. "Captain, I've detected an anomalous energy signature in the cargo hold." Nora's hand moved instinctively to the pulse pistol at her hip. "What kind of signature?" "Unknown. It appears to be biological in nature, but not matching any species in my database. Wake. Reed and tell him to meet me at the cargo hold. Armed." Reed Torres, her security officer and oldest friend, was waiting when she arrived, his weathered face tense. "Got something living down here that shouldn't be," Nora explained, nodding toward the cargo containers. "Let's find it." Methodically, through the stacked crates until Reed raised his hand in a silent signal. Soft glow emanated from behind a row of hydroponic equipment. "Come out," Nora called. "We know you're there." The glow intensified and a figure emerged. Nora's breath caught in her throat. The woman, if she could be called, that stood about.
Ow.
Nora's height but seemed to radiate light from within. Her skin had an opalescent quality that shifted colors with her movements. Her hair flowed like liquid, silver, moving as though underwater, despite the ship's artificial gravity. But most striking were her eyes, pools of swirling nebula light that fixed on Nora. With unmistakable intelligence and fear, she wore an elaborate garment that resembled flowing water frozen in time, adorned with symbols that seemed to pulse with their own internal light. "Who are you?" Nora demanded. "How did you get aboard my ship?" The woman spoke, her voice like crystalline chimes. The language was incomprehensible. "Meridian, can you translate? Working, Captain?" The language contains harmonic elements outside standard communication parameters. The woman seemed to understand their dilemma. She pressed her palm against the nearest console, and the screen flickered wildly. Suddenly, Meridian's voice changed, becoming more melodic. Translation algorithms adapting. Integration in progress. The woman removed her hand and spoke again. This time, fractured English emerged. "Help. ... Verity. Last of ... Starborn. Hunters. Follow. A stowaway," Reed muttered. "Great, why are you on my ship?" Nora asked slowly. Verity's expression grew pained. She touched a symbol on her garment, projecting a holographic image between them. A massive battleship of alien design. "Bristling with weapons, marriage vessel," Verity said, her vocabulary improving rapidly. "Warlord Dravix claims starborn bride. Takes power. Mind. Spirit." She made a wrenching motion near her chest. "Then discard empty shell." "She's a refugee," Reed said quietly. "An unauthorized passenger," Nora corrected. "Company policy is clear. We report stowaways at the next port." Verity stepped forward, her eyes pleading. "Dravix destroy worlds. My people gone. I last. Help Verity, Captain." Nora felt a twinge of sympathy but pushed it aside. Her first responsibility was to her crew and cargo. "I'm sorry, but I can't risk my ship and people for someone I don't know. When we reach Persephone, you'll need to disembark." Verity's glow dimmed noticeably. "You laugh at danger you not understand?" "I'm not laughing," Nora replied firmly. Da 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 da. "I'm following protocol." Protocol. Verity spoke the word as though tasting something bitter. When heart's cold as space, Verity, remember, ship follows whoever holds true heart. Reed shifted uncomfortably. "Captain, maybe we should secure her in the spare quarters," Nora interrupted. "We'll sort this out at Persephone."
As
Reed escorted Verity away, Nora couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that she'd just made a terrible mistake. Those nebula eyes had looked straight through her, seeing something Nora herself had forgotten was there. Reed escorted Verity to the spare quarters, uncomfortable with the captain's decision, but unwilling to question her authority openly. The alien woman moved with unusual grace, as though partially untethered from gravity. "Sorry about this," he said as he activated the security protocols. "Captain's just doing her job." Verity turned those unsettling nebula eyes toward him. "Your captain fears wrong things. Soon, fear right things." Before Reed could respond, the ship's alarm blared. He sprinted toward the bridge, leaving Verity. Behind the secured door? "What's happening?" he demanded as he burst onto the bridge. Nora stood rigid before the main view screen, her face illuminated by the tactical display. 3 vessels just dropped out of hyperspace. They're on an intercept course. Communications Officer Juno Patel turned from her station. "They're hailing us, Captain. Audio only." "Put it through." Harsh, grating voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel. You harbor stolen property belonging to High Commander Dravex of the Vexor Dominion. Surrender the starborn female immediately." Nora's jaw tightened. "This is Captain Blackwell of the cargo vessel Helios. We're on a sanctioned supply run to Persephone Colony. We're not harboring any. Our sensors detect starborn energy signatures aboard your vessel. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your immediate destruction." The transmission cut off. Nora turned to her pilot, Tomas Wren. "Evasive maneuvers. Maximum thrust." "They're faster than us, Captain," Tomas warned, his fingers dancing across the controls. "And their weapon signatures are off the charts. Reed, get our passenger up here now." When Reed returned with Verity, the alien woman immediately moved to the view screen, her silver hair undulating with agitation as she stared at the pursuing vessels. "Vexor hunters," she whispered. "Death ships." "You brought this down on us," Nora accused. "Those aren't simply ships looking for a runaway bride. What aren't you telling me?" Verity turned to face the crew. "Starborn connect with machines. Make them ... more. Vexor want this power. Take Starborn women. Force marriage bond. Extract gift." She placed her palm against her chest. "Then discard empty shell." The ship shuddered as the first warning shot passed close by. "They're within weapons range," Tomas announced. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Nora demanded. "You not listened before?" Verity replied simply. The chief engineer, Haruki Tanaka, burst onto the bridge. "Captain, something's happening with our systems. Power fluctuations throughout the ship, but they are organized somehow." Verity moved toward the engineering console. "Let Verity help. Don't touch anything," Nora ordered. But Verity had already placed her palm against the console. The effect was immediate and startling. The lights dimmed momentarily, then brightened to a warm glow. The console displays sharpened, showing information none of them had seen before. "What did you do?" Haruki asked, fascinated. "Speak to ship heart," Verity explained. "Show true nature." The ship lurched suddenly, gaining speed beyond its specifications. Captain Tomas called out, "We're accelerating beyond safety parameters." "But the engines aren't redlining. It's like they've been. It's upgraded." "Temporary help," Verity said. "Not enough. Need full connection to escape Vexor ships." Nora watched the tactical display as the pursuing vessels adjusted course, still gaining. "What does full connection mean?" Verity's eyes dimmed. "Captain still not understand. Still think protocol, save crew." She removed her hand from the console. "And the ship's systems returned to normal. They're closing fast," Red warned. Nora faced Verity. "I understand you're scared, but this is my ship, my crew. They need full disclosure before I risk their lives." "Too late for disclosure," Verity said quietly as the proximity alarm wailed. "Now time for choice." The Helios shuddered violently as the lead Vexor vessel locked a tractor beam onto their hull. "All hands, prepare for boarding," Nora shouted into the com. "Defensive positions?" Verity's expression hardened. No more time for human doubt. She pressed both palms against the main console, and her body began to glow with increasing intensity. Thin filaments of light extended from her fingertips into the ship's systems. "Stop." "What are you, Nora?" Lunged forward, but an invisible Barrier repelled her. "Ship, protect Verity now," the alien woman said, her voice resonating through the ship's speakers. "Verity, protect ship." Throughout the Helios, bulkheads sealed automatically. The bridge crew watched in alarm as the monitors showed their fellow crewmates trapped in various sections of the ship. "Release my crew," Nora demanded. "Safe in quarters, not hurt." Verity's form became partially translucent, pulsing with energy that flowed visibly into the ship's systems. "Now, Captain, see truth. Then decide." The bridge view screen flickered, then displayed scenes that seemed to come from Verity's memories. A crystalline world of impossible beauty. Cities that floated among clouds. Peaceful civilization that communed with technology in ways humans had never imagined. Then darkness fell. The Vexor arrived with honeyed words and false promises. Scenes of horror followed, starborn women captured, bound to grotesque warlords and mockeries of marriage ceremonies, the systematic extraction of their abilities, leaving behind empty shells that still breathed, but no longer lived. 43 starborn taken, Verity narrated, her voice filled with ancient grief. "Verity last, sister sacrifice, so Verity escape." The images shifted to show a vast armada of Vexor vessels, powered by stolen starborn technology, ravaging worlds. "Take Verity, take last pure connection, used to destroy all free worlds." Her nebula eyes fixed on Nora. "Your world too." The tractor beam intensified. Metal groaned as the Vexor began cutting through the outer hull. "They're breaching airlock 3, Reed reported. Nora's mind raced. Everything she'd believed about following rules, about keeping her head down and surviving, seemed hollow in the face of this revelation. "What do you need from us?" she asked finally. "Not us. You." Verity's light dimmed briefly. "Captain Hart drive ship. Verity power ship. Need both. They're through the first door." Nomus called out. Noah met Verity's gaze. "Will my crew be safe? If help Verity, yes. If not..." She gestured to the images of devastation still playing on the screen. The decision crystallized in Nora's mind. "What do I need to do?" Verity's form became more solid as she withdrew partially from the ship's systems. "Touch Verity. Form bond. Share heart." Nora hesitated only momentarily before stepping forward and placing her hand against Verity's outstretched palm. The contact sent a shock of awareness through her body. Connection so intimate, it felt like Verity had reached directly into her consciousness. Suddenly, Nora understood. The Starborn didn't just interface with machines. They formed symbiotic relationships with them, bringing consciousness to technology while preserving their own. It wasn't control or domination, but partnership. "I understand now," Nora whispered. The bulkheads throughout the ship unsealed. The trapped crew members rushed to their stations. "Captain," Red questioned. "Weapon ready." "Change of plans," Nora announced. "We're fighting back." "Brace for maneuver," Nora commanded as she and Verity worked in perfect synchronization. The Helios twisted impossibly, breaking free of the tractor beam. Systems that had never been pushed beyond standard parameters now performed miraculous feats of engineering. Verity's connection transformed the ship, while Nora's understanding of space combat provided the strategy. "They're pursuing," Tomas reported. "All 3 vessels." "Oruki route emergency power to the shield modulators," Nora ordered. "Read arm countermeasures." Their movements were coordinated with uncanny precision. Through their connection, Nora could sense Verity's thoughts not as words, but as intuitive understanding. It was the most profound intimacy she had ever experienced. "Verity cannot maintain partial connection much longer," the alien woman said, her voice strained. "Must choose, full merge or surrender." What happens with a full merge?" Nora asked, though she already sensed the answer. "Verity become one with ship, not separate again. Ship become more, transcend limitations." A Vexor energy blast rocked the Helios. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Hull breach on deck C," Juno called out. "Emergency containment holding, but barely." Nora looked at her crew people who depended on her, who trusted her judgment. Then she looked at Verity, whose light was dimming with the effort of maintaining their temporary advantage. "Do it," Nora decided. "Full merge." Verity nodded solemnly. "Need quiet space." engine core. Nora turned to read. You have the bridge? Keep them busy. She led Verity through the corridors toward the engine core, the heart of the ship. With each step, the connection between them deepened. Nora could feel Verity's fear, her determination, her grief for her lost people, and Verity, in turn, sensed Nora's lifetime of loneliness disguised as independence. Her regrets, her unacknowledged yearning for something more meaningful than cargo runs. Here, Verity said as they reached the pulsing engine core. The space hummed with energy, bathing them in blue-white light. Verity's garment shifted colors in response, flowing around her like liquid starlight. What do I do? Nora asked. Hold Verity. Share strength. Nora stepped forward, taking the alien woman into her arms. Verity's body felt both solid and ethereal. Against hers, warm and vibrating with power, their eyes met human brown, gazing into cosmic nebuland. Nora felt something shift within her chest. Ah! A recognition of something she hadn't known she was searching for, afraid Verity whispered. Suddenly vulnerable. I'm with you, Nora promised, tightening her embrace. Their lips met in a kiss that transcended physical contact. Energy flowed between them, around them, through them. Nora felt Verity's consciousness brush against hers, not invasive but inviting, offering connection rather than demanding it. The ship shuddered around them as Verity began to change. Her physical form became translucent, merging with the energy field of the engine core. Silver filaments extended from her body into the ship's systems, weaving her essence into the Helios itself. Yet part of her remained solid in Nora's arms. Her face pressed against the captain's shoulder, her body trembling with the transformation. Stay with me, Nora murmured, stroking the flowing silver hair that now resembled flowing data streams. I've got you. Always with you now, Verity, replied, her voice coming simultaneously from her lips and from the ship around them. Never alone again. The final phase of the merge began. Verity's physical form dissolved further, becoming a luminous silhouette in Nora's arms. But rather than feeling loss, Nora experienced expansion, as if Verity now existed everywhere around her. Within the walls, the air, the very molecules of the ship, the Helios transformed. Systems upgraded beyond recognition. Capabilities emerged that defied human engineering. And at the center of it all, Nora stood in communion with the being who had become one with her ship and with her heart. We are ready, Verity's voice echoed through the ship. Hold tight, my captain. 6 months after their escape from the Vexor hunters, the Helios sailed through uncharted space at the edge of the known galaxy. But it was no longer just a ship. It had become something new, something unprecedented. Nora stood in what had once been the cargo hold. It's now transformed into a garden of light-based flora that sustained the crew with fruits that tasted of stardust. Throughout the ship, similar transformations had occurred. Walls pulsed with living energy. Systems responded to thought as much as touch. And everywhere, Verity's presence could be felt in the gentle hum of the engines, the perfect calibration. Of life support, the way doors opened before anyone reached them. Captain Reed approached, his once skeptical expression now relaxed with acceptance. The new sensor array detected another refugee vessel on the far side of the nebula. There? Being pursued? Nora nodded. Tell Tomas to plot an intercept course. In the months since their transformation, they had discovered others fleeing oppression throughout the galaxy, not just Starborn, though Verity was indeed the last of her kind, but various species escaping the expanding Vexor dominion. The Helios had become a sanctuary, a rescue vessel, a mobile haven for the persecuted. How is she today? Reed asked softly. Nora smiled, growing stronger, learning more human words. She placed her hand on the wall, feeling the familiar warmth respond to her touch. Though Verity had merged with the ship, their connection had evolved into something more complex than either had anticipated. Verity could still manifest a semi-corporeal form for limited periods, enough for conversations, for touch, for the intimate moments that had become precious to them both. You think about rescue. Verity's voice came from around them, warm and amused. Verity, hear thoughts grow loud. Hard not to think about it, Nora replied. Every life we save feels like ... Redemption, Verity completed. For not helping Verity. First time? Reed tactfully withdrew, leaving them to their private moment. I was wrong, Nora admitted, as she had many times before. I put rules before people. The air before her shimmered, and Verity's form coalesced translucent but present. Her nebula eyes focused on Nora with unmistakable affection. Past is past, Verity said, raising an ethereal hand to Nora's cheek. Now we make new future, better future. There. Relationship defied conventional understanding. Verity existed both as the ship and as herself, both everywhere and specifically. Here, both machine and being. And Nora had found a purpose far beyond hauling cargo. She had become a guardian, protector, a partner in something revolutionary. The crew had adapted remarkably. Baruki spent his days studying starborn technology, learning principles that would revolutionize human engineering if they ever returned to central space. Juno had developed a communication system that could transmit messages through unconventional channels, building a network of resistance against Vexor expansion. Tomas had become an expert in navigating the uncharted regions where they now operated. They were no longer just a crew, they were pioneers, approaching the refugee vessel. As Tomas announced through the com, Nora felt Verity's consciousness shift focus, extending the heliosensors toward the fleeing ship. For life forms, Verity reported, 2 adults, 2 children, ship damaged, will not outrun hunters. Then we'll need to be persuasive, Nora said. Moving toward the bridge, Verity's manifestation dissolved, returning to the ship's systems where she could be most effective in the coming confrontation. But her voice followed Nora through the corridors. Remember? First meeting, Nora laughed at Verity's warning. I didn't laugh, Nora protested with a smile. I just ... didn't understand. Now understand everything. Verity's tone held both pride and tenderness. Now Nora and Verity save others. As Nora took her place on the bridge, the tactical display showed 2 Vexor scout ships closing on the damaged refugee vessel. Once, she would have calculated the risks, weighed the protocols, considered the profit margins. Now, she simply gave the order that felt right. Intercept, course, weapons charged. Let's show these hunters what happens when they prey on the helpless. The Helios accelerated, its systems thrumming with Verity's power and purpose. Around her, the crew worked with quiet efficiency, no longer questioning their new mission. Ready, my heart, Verity's voice asked through the ship's speakers. Nora placed her hand on the command console, feeling the responding warmth beneath her fingers. What had begun as reluctant aid to a stowaway had become the most meaningful journey of her life. Ready? She confirmed. Let's bring them home. The Helios surged forward, a beacon of hope in the darkness between stars, carrying its unique cargo of compassion toward those who needed it most.